The concept of belief is foundational to the human experience. As neuroscientist and author of the book The End of Faith, Sam Harris often notes, we humans base our actions on what we believe to be true. The concept of truth is a hotly discussed topic in our civilization, but what does the word believe really mean? If you look up the etymology of the word believe on Google, the source of the word traces back to Old English spoken in Germany during the 13th century. But we know language didn't start in the 13th century, so can we find an older source? And yes, we can, from Lashon HaKodesh, from the word belev, which literally translates as in the heart. The symbol bet or base, depending on your pronunciation, functions in Lashon HaKodesh as the preposition in. And the word beit or base literally means house, which is why this is the real source of the English word base, and not the Greeks, which is what Google may have you believe. You can even see the physical structure of habitation and housing in the symbol itself. Meanwhile, the second half of the word lev literally translates as heart, which makes sense because the concept of love coming from the heart is a universal one. But what's even cooler is that the numerical value of the word lev, which is 32, 30 for lamed and 2 for bet, corresponds perfectly to the accepted compression to ventilation ratio for CPR. But are we truly only capable of loving with our hearts and basing our beliefs off what we feel in our heart? The Torah seems to be hinting this is not the case. In one of the most famous verses in all of Judaism, the first pasuk of the Shema, it says, "V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha bechol levavcha." This verse is translated in English usually to say, love your God, the Creator, with all your heart. But why does it say levavcha? If it was truly just heart, wouldn't it say levcha? Why the extra bet? The traditional answer to this question that the rabbis passed down is that the reason there is a second bet is because every human being has both evil and good in their hearts, and they have the capacity to act on those inclinations. While that is a very wise explanation, there's an important lesson to be learned. There's an even deeper explanation. As Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan points out, every human being has 31 pairs of nerves leading up their spine, which connects to their brain to equal 32. This is because when human beings believe something, it's not merely because they have a feeling, it's because there is data and information to support their belief. Complete separation of our hearts and our feelings from our brain and our thoughts is impossible. In fact, that link is what makes us human, and we should embrace it. At the same time, we should be able to find a balance between the two, to not be a complete robot and disregard our feelings completely, but to also not be a slave to our emotions and our feelings, and to use the gift of the human brain to break down on whether this belief and this feeling makes sense, whether it is true. When one chooses to let go of their preconceived notions and willingly examines the alphabet in their true form as seen on an authentic Torah scroll, today's idea of belief purely being a leap of faith without evidence from the heart, just a feeling, completely goes out the window. And it is replaced by trust, by emunah, because there is evidence. And the evidence is the alphabet, from aleph to mem to taf, the emet, the truth, what we see, what we hear, the numbers, it all intersecting as one, and it becomes clear that no human being could have ever conceived and created something so timeless, so foundational, and so deep. And it also shows that Hashem is real and that Hashem is good and wants nothing more than for each and every one of us to get along with one another and to treat every human being who has a piece of God in them with love, dignity, and respect. And this is just one example of things that we already know and feel to be true that is confirmed by studying the alien code, which is Hashem's alphabet here on earth, given to us thousands of years ago, and it still shows up in the language we speak today without us even knowing it.